The big question here is this. To what degree can Israel depend on the United States for meaningful support as it continues to face threats from Hamas in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen, the imams in Iran, and the growing tidal wave of anti-Semitic hatred around the world? What is President Trump's grand vision for the Middle East? And how does Israel fit into that vision? 1 week ago today, Trump left for the Middle East, a tour that included visits to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. In every location, he courted his hosts, lauded their accomplishments, and presented himself as their greatest friend and ally in the world. Greater than Iran, greater than Russia, greater than China, and of course, greater than the previous U.S. administration under former President Joe Biden. Covering several topics several times, his speeches and interviews included comments of particular interest to Israel, Iran, the Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, Al Shara in Syria, and Prime Minister Netanyahu in Jerusalem. As we listen to things President Trump said, just like Israelis, it is important to consider what he said and what he did not say, questions that he answered clearly and questions that he did not. And most importantly, what policies do his words imply? Let's begin with his grand vision for the Middle East. Apparently somewhat jet-lagged, he nonetheless spoke for 50 minutes after his arrival in Saudi Arabia. Speaking before an auditorium full of dignitaries, including Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, Elon Musk, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he articulated this grand vision for the Middle East.
Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that. After so many decades of conflict, finally it is within our grasp to reach the future that generations before us could only dream about, a land of peace, safety, harmony, opportunity, innovation, and achievement right here in the Middle East. So beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing that's happening. If the responsible nations of this region seize this moment, put aside your differences and focus on the interests that unite you, then all of humanity will soon be amazed at what they will see right here in this geographic center of the world. It really is. It's like a center of the world and the spiritual heart of its greatest faiths. For the first time in 1,000 years, the world will look at this region not as a place of turmoil and strife and war and death, but as a land of opportunity and hope, just like you've done right here, a cultural and commercial crossroads of the planet. Security and stability will lift millions into lives of safety and success, and the nations of this region will be free to realize your highest destinies, honor your proud histories, harness amazing new opportunities, and bring incredible glory to Almighty God. People will come from all over the globe to be inspired by the cities you build, the businesses you create, the technologies you invent, and the beauty, talent, and potential you unleash right in the hearts of your citizens.
As for Iran, he emphatically asserted they cannot develop nuclear weapons, but dodged the question about allowing them to maintain a civil nuclear energy program.
So how do you get to a solution there?
Oh, we'll get 100%.
You think so?
Well, we're going to have a solution one way or the other. It's either going to be violent or not violent. And I far prefer nonviolent. I know so many Iranians from New York, from Washington, from different places. These are great people. You know, you have to view them as people. And I don't want it to be a violent thing, but they're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
But you said it was close the other day. You said it was close to a deal.
I think it's close. I think,
so does that mean that they're going to enrich at any level, like a civilian level?
No, I think they want to make a deal. You know, you say to yourself, they have massive oil, by the way. They have oil that lasts for 300 years. They have a lot of oil. People don't realize they're one of the biggest in the world. And it's very good oil, meaning it's pure, perfect stuff. They don't have to, spend a fortune on gases and energy in order to melt the rock and everything. They have pure, unadulterated, good oil. And you say, why does somebody that has that kind of oil, other than being politically correct, but when you have unlimited amounts of oil and gas, why are you putting up, why do you need civil nuclear? I just don't see it.
But I mean, are you going to call for it all?
And I think nuclear is fine. I think nuclear is fine for civil if you have a country with no oil. But if you're sitting on one of the largest piles of oil in the world, why are you talking about putting up nuclear civil? I call it nuclear civil.
He also touted his ceasefire with the Houthis in Yemen in exchange for their pledge not to attack U.S. ships in the Red Sea. Notably, however, he said nothing about the 5 missiles they have launched against Israel since that agreement was announced on 6 May, which itself was only 2 days after a Houthi missile hit Ben Gurion International Airport.
In recent weeks, following repeated attacks on American ships and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea, the United States military launched more than 1,100 strikes on the Houthis in Yemen. As a result, the Houthis agreed to stop. They said, we don't want this anymore. It's the first time you've heard that from them, too. They're tough. They're fighters. But just days ago, we were asked to cease targeting commercial. They were not going to be targeting commercial ships in any way, shape, or form, or anything American. And they were very happy that we stopped.
Asked about his vision for Gaza, this was his response.
And you think the Israel-Hamas, the situation in Gaza is going to come to an end soon?
Gaza's a nasty place. It's been that way for years. I think it should become a free zone. Freedom, I call it a freedom zone. It should become a freedom zone. It doesn't work. Every 10 years they go back, they have Hamas, everybody's being killed all over the place. I mean, you ever see, you talk about crime stats. It's a nasty place.
Are these people, these countries that you were just visiting, are they going to have to be a part of the solution?
Well, they would be. They would be. I spoke to all 3 of them. They would absolutely be. I mean, they're really rich and really, 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 even more than rich. They're good people. And they would help. And so money's not even the problem.
Well, you got to get countries to say yes, to take them.
Look, these are people that want to be in the Middle East. They really want to be in the Middle East. They love the Middle East. I see that. There's a spirit for the Middle East. They didn't have to go to Sweden, Germany, these different countries. They could have been home in the Middle East if somebody had the brains to build beautiful communities. 1.9 million is a lot of people, but it's not a lot of people.
After Saudi Arabia, Trump went to Qatar. Doha has a long history of funding Islamist terror organizations, including the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, and contributing hundreds of millions of dollars to U.S. universities for the support of Islam, including student protests against Israel. On the other hand, Qatar is also the home to a huge U.S. Air Force base, and it's the forward headquarters of the U.S. Central Command. How does President Trump regard Qatar? If you are not yet a subscriber to endtimes.com and would like to see all of this important report and others like it, I urge you, subscribe right now at the website endtimes.com. For only $7 a month, you will receive a wealth of information and insight from Jimmy Evans, Mark Hitchcock, and experts from around the world, including Israelis living right here in the Jewish state. Do yourself a favor. Sign up today.